dude. What the fuck? Are you serious? I have a 1 in charisma and a 1 in luck now. Oh well. What are my special stats now? 10 in agility. Oh, that's not bad. I could have rolled worse. Oh. Oh wait, I think I just... Oh my god. My face. Oh my god, is that my face? Oh, my charisma's 8 now. My strength is 10? My strength is at 10. You piece of shit ghoul. Fucking taking out one of my regenerations, you piece of shit. Why? I don't want to regenerate.
Fallout New Vegas is a game that has a lot of mods. Mods for weapons, mods for different skins, and even, if you are so inclined, you can even turn Fulbus into a femboy. There is even a mod that can turn you into a Time Lord from the British TV show Doctor Who, which, if you have not guessed by the frequent references to it, is one of my favourite shows. And since that show has now been unceremoniously shelved indefinitely, I think it'd be a nice send-off to do that as a challenge. So, without further ado, welcome back to Challenge Chronicles. Today's episode, Fallout New Vegas as a Time Lord. So if you have watched the show or have any knowledge of the lore at all, then you'll probably have an idea of what this challenge entails, but let me go over it for the lame people who don't know what I'm talking about. A Time Lord from Doctor Who is a being that can regenerate themselves into a new body when they are fatally injured instead of dying. The way this challenge works is that I am going to install this mod, which will allow me to pick the Time Lord perk, which will allow me to do the same. So every time I take fatal damage, instead of dying, I will regenerate into a new body, essentially giving me 12 lives. If I run out of regenerations, then the run is over. Alright, we all caught up? Nice, let's get into it. You all know how this game works at this point. Chandelier from Friends showed me his poker winnings and then shot me in the head to prevent me from catching up with him at the casino. I then woke up at a tiny shack that Doc Mitchell calls his home. I set my character's name to the Commander because all Time Lords seem to have a title like that. Like the Doctor, the Master, the Rani, the Capaldi, and the Disappointments, you know how it is. I then made my character. What my character looks like is kind of a non-issue, as whenever I die, my looks will change. So I just made myself look like a very generic looking man character and set off for the Vigor tester. I decided to go 8 in luck, intelligence, and charisma. For speed running into the strip, a high speech skill for more XP, yada yada. The rest of the stats I had at 4. I decided to go with a bit of an odd combination of skills this time, as I went speech, energy weapons, and science. Science because I initially wanted to go for an energy weapon build, and the science skill allows you to recycle used energy cells, which is obviously why I also went with energy weapons. With my perks, I went with skilled to boost all skills, and small frame so it makes it so I get shot slightly less. Immediately after getting my skills, I went over to the 9mm submachine gun and repaired it for a free early game weapon. I then ravaged Mitchell's house and then went out into the land. Now to find out how this mod works. So this mod adds a perk that allows you to regenerate when you die. I had a little bit of trouble trying to find out what the hell was wrong with the mod and why I wasn't able to find it with commands, but I eventually fixed my game and realized that for some reason, I just couldn't give myself the perk with the console command. For whatever reason, it only shows up in the level up screen, so I guess I'll have to get to level 2 in order to take the perk. So I went off to Sunny Smiles in order to do some tutorial stuff for her. I shot some bottles off a fence and then killed some geckos. These ones thankfully don't explode, so that's good. I then helped her craft some Gatorade at the local campfire with the shrooms I found laying around, and then I killed some scorpions, killed some bloatflies, grabbed a bunch of Benny's cigarette butts from my grave, and then saw Trudy and Joe Cobb having an argument. I then went and talked to Ringo and told him that I'd get the town on his side. And by the town, I mean just Trudy and Chet. And then after I talked to Chet, I had finally obtained enough XP and was now able to snag the Time Lord perk. From now on, whenever my health reaches a certain level, I don't know what, my body will start glowing and my appearance and my special stats will randomize. Sick! Now with the power of Gallifrey on my side, I talked to Doc Mitchell, got his medical supplies, and then talked to Ringo and told him that we're ready to rumble. Good timing too. The powder gangers rolled up into town and I proceeded to melt them with my Black Ops 2 ray gun. After the battle, I snagged a sweet looking Stetson from one of the corpses, and then I set my eyes for greener pastures and headed towards Prim. On the way to Prim, I absolutely fucking destroyed some powder gangers and then skipped over some of the mines. I then melted the people outside of the Mojave Express and then went into the building across the street to find a broken EDE robot. I tried to repair it, but I lacked the intellectual know-how and the scrap metal to get this glorified floating baseball working again. So I left it alone. I talked to Johnson Nash to see where Deputy Beagle was, and then I went into the other building to go and save him. I used my shotgun to blow the legs off the convicts as a reference to Joel in The Last of Us Part 2. Then out came the convict leader. He had a flamethrower, and that hurts. I was able to blow his head off, but not before his men surrounded me and filled me full of holes. I got the notification that the regeneration process had started, and then with the health regen I got from it, I was able to clear the rest of the convicts. And then I regenerated for the first time. I'm a woman now, I guess. I look like some sort of wacky 1920s dancing girl or something. With my new face and stats, I freed Beagle, tried and failed to get this stupid fucking computer to work because the fucking hacking minigame, this game is so fucking stupid! And then I gave Beagle back to Johnson Nash. With the people in Prim dealt with, I decided now I'll set my eyes on Nipton so Vulpus can do his little aura farming bit. On the way towards Nipton, I searched some empty homes for some magazines, drank some irradiated water, fought some escaped convicts with my TV remote, and was awarded another level up for my troubles. I then ran into some Jackal gang members whose brains I painted the ground with, and then I finally arrived at what was left of Nipton. I decided not to kill Yuri Lowenthal, I mean Oliver, this time. And then I agreed to spread the word of Vulpus's atrocities. There isn't much to say about Nipton. I literally just went there, fulfilled the objective, and moved on towards Novak. Along the road, I was ambushed by some more maniacs who almost got me to regenerate by launching grenade shells in my cranium. But don't worry, they only hit my brain, so I'm fine. I sold some crap to a wandering trader, and then I looted Ranger Station Charlie before I arrived at Novak. I instantly went towards the workshop and stole a bunch of supplies before selling them to the townspeople at an escalated price, and then headed towards Repcon. The ghouls at the front were a comedic joke that I quickly turned into soup, except for this glowing one, who managed to get the better of me due to his objection to taking damage, and made me use up another of my precious regenerations.
You piece of shit, ghoul. Fucking taking out one of my generations, you piece of shit.
It's a shame, I was beginning to like this form. I managed to kill the glowing one just before I burst into a wave of glowing mustard energy and regenerated for the second time. Now I kinda just look like your average James Bond villain. After regenerating, I checked my stats to see what I rolled, and I'm now suddenly over-encumbered. I guess that means my strength is low. Strength is now at 4, and perception is now at 2, but worse is my charisma, which is now an eye-watering 1 out of 10. Jesus Christ, what a shit roll. I briefly considered killing myself and using up another regeneration so I could re-roll my stats, but that would be an inefficient use of regenerations and frankly quite depressing. So I dumped most of my stuff that was weighing me down and continued down towards Repcon. I killed the ghouls on the outside, discovered the location, and then decided to go to Gibson Scrapyard in order to get the rocket parts early to save some time later down the line. I also went and got the other rocket parts from the dead scavenger outside of Novak and then headed back towards Repcon. I headed inside, killed some ghouls, headed upstairs, talked to Jason and his followers, and then headed into the basement. As I entered the basement, something strange happened. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was off. Yeah, after some googling, it turns out that a lighting mod that I installed was a bit more trouble than it was worth and made it so that some interior cells just came up completely blank. So I disabled it, into the trash can it goes, and went on with the challenge. I immediately talked to Davison, who wanted to know where the stealth boys were. I went to kill Harland, searched the terminal, and then told Davison and his gang to piss off. I headed back upstairs where I told Jason and his gang that the basement is now free, and then I went to Chris and gave him the rocket parts that I had already acquired. Pro gamer move right there. And then I watched them fire off into the great beyond. The end is in sight. No, not really. I don't know why I said that. Why is that in the script? I was awarded another level up. I headed back to Novak and informed Manny that I, a person he has never met, has already dealt with the ghouls that he never told me to go kill, and he just accepted that information and told me where Benny was. Stupid asshole. It is now time to set off for Boulder City. But before I left, I entered Cliff Briscoe's house and said hi to an old friend. I also discovered that Cliff is a weird sicko that has a fetish for dinosaurs or something, because good lord, I never noticed how many dinosaur toys were in there. On the road to Boulder City, I stopped by Helios 1, where I lied to Lieutenant Haggerty about being an NCR soldier sent to help them, and then I headed inside and stole all their solar array parts. It's a secret tool that'll help us later. Heading towards Boulder City again, I got ambushed by some Viper gunslingers, walls, which I was able to melt with my microwave beam, and then I arrived in Boulder City. My charisma might be at 1, but my speech skill is still a 51, so I was still able to tell the Khans inside to piss off and let the hostages go. With a good relation with the Khans and the NCR established with a new level up in hand, I decided now was the right time to head towards the Strip. On the way to the Strip, I explored the train station that had another stupid computer that I couldn't hack because fuck you, and a bunch of Sunset Sarsaparilla machines that were able to supply me with enough alcohol to forget who the Prime Minister of Canada is. Wait a second. After following the railway for a bit, I was given an NCR beacon for my efforts in Boulder City, and then I arrived in Freeside, where I immediately went to Mick and Ralph's to repair my stuff. It was here that I came to a realization.
No, what did that do? My luck's dead! It's all gone! No! Oh, my power! My power! My power!
I made my luck super high at the start of the video in order to speedrun getting into the Strip, right? As I usually do. But then I remembered that I had regenerated a couple of times on the way here, so my luck stat is all messed up. I tried to play blackjack in order to get more money, but it was like I was stripped of a superpower. I was just barely breaking even with my chips. I even tried playing roulette, but that wasn't much better, although I was able to snag a level up for completing a challenge. So now I was in a bit of a pickle. The only way to get into the Strip now is to do some work for some money. I hit up the king at Freeside for some work, where he told me to go and follow a possible bodyguard scam artist in order to rat him out. So I talked to the bodyguard, watched him kill a bunch of innocent bystanders, and then I reported my findings to the king. He then didn't pay me, told me to talk to some injured folk for some reason. So I went and did that, not really much to say here. I was just blindly following the objective, found out where some NCR food drops were happening nightly, and then I told the king what was what. He then told me to go kill some NCR thugs with some of his thugs, so I melted those NCR dudes with my ray gun and was able to loot a significant amount of ammo, clothes, and weapons off their corpses, which is good for business. Well, it's not very good for their business, but it sure is good for mine. I told the king that the job was done, and he rewarded me with a level up and a measly amount of caps. What a waste of time that was. However, by selling the crap I picked up from all those corpses and some good luck on the blackjack table once more, I was just able to scrounge up enough caps to pass the credit check in order to get into the Strip. After that, I put down the challenge for a good 2 months because I had to work on the randomized wheel video, so that's why my hair looks slightly longer and I'm noticeably more tired for the rest of this challenge run. I headed straight into the Tops Casino and gave all my evidence to Swank, who left me to search Benny's apartment. I talked to Yes Man at length because I was considering doing the Yes Man ending, but I eventually decided that I was going to support the only faction that any self-respecting Time Lord would support, the Legion. I then went to Benny and convinced him to talk in the penthouse. I met him up there and listened to his proposition of taking over the Strip with him. I even considered taking it, but nah, I'm kinda set on helping the Legion now. So I blew his shit smooth off. Fighting Benny was significantly easier than it was in the randomized wheel video, as I'm sure you can tell. After that, I leveled up, took the platinum chip, took his gun and his clothes, then I exited the Tops Casino where Vulpus invited me to go to the Legion's camp to talk to Caesar, and I agreed. I made my way down to Cottonwood Cove, where I was transported to the Legion's camp, and then I met Caesar. He told me to use my platinum chip to open up a bunker that lay underneath the fort, and I agreed. I went into the bunker and was greeted by Mr. House, who was slightly pissed at me for not meeting him in the Lucky 38, but then told me that our relationship can be salvaged if I upgrade the robots as he asked. To which I said, what if I don't do that?
I don't respond well to threats.
I'll see what happens.
I like to think you have enough sense to do the right thing.
Yes, I do have the sense to do the right thing. Oh, whoops. Looks like I accidentally blew up your generators. Oh no. Oh, guess we're enemies now. I had a lot of fun in games with Mr. House, but he eventually got his revenge on me. The Protectrons were one thing to deal with, but the Sentry Bots were another thing entirely. I was able to run past them as far as my legs could carry me, but not before the Sentry Bots were able to deal a lethal dose of lead to my stomach, which triggered my third regeneration. Honestly, this is a good thing. I need some better stats. Okay, well now I don't know what I look like.
Oh my god, my face. Oh my god, is that my face?
So it turns out I have a deformed face and a hand with a missing texture, but my stats are great. 10 in strength, 8 in endurance, 8 in charisma, 1 in intelligence, but that's fine, and luck at 8, which would have been so helpful an hour ago. Whatever, I'll take it. So now I'm literally deformed and super ugly, but I have outstanding stats. It's just like me in real life. I went back to Caesar, who congratulated me for a job well done, and then he asked me to kill Mr. House. So I went and got some new clothes to fit my new face, and then I ran into Lucky 38 and turned Mr. House into jelly. I was awarded a level up for murdering Fallout's Elon Musk, and then I headed back towards Caesar. He told me that it was time to make contact with the boomers and help them. With my new form and outstanding stats, that wasn't gonna happen. I went to the Atomic Wrangler and won so many caps that I got kicked out of the casino. Then I went to every store that I could think of and purchased a metric ton of stimpaks, turbo, ammunition, and assorted drugs in order to prepare for what I was about to do to the boomers. I even went to the Gamora and gambled more there to get even more caps to spend on stimpaks. Then, after I had amassed a large fortune of money and drugs, I traveled to Nellis Airfield, spoke with the boomers at the gate, spoke with Pearl, and then I filled her full of lead and turned her brethren into minced meat. With Benny's 9mm gun in my hand and a mountain of 9mm ammo shoved on my ass, the boomers didn't pose much of a threat to me. I clean wiped them out and then reported back to Caesar. He congratulated me on my mass murder and then told me to make a connection with the White Glove Society in the Ultralux Casino. So I traveled over there, spoke with Marjorie, and she didn't want anything to do with the Legion, and she refused to talk to me any further about it. So I spoke with Mortimer, and he said that he was trying to get the White Glove Society to eat humans again, and if I helped him do that, maybe Marjorie would like the Legion more. Makes sense. So I went to some random house and knocked some dude out for the White Gloves to chow down on, and Mortimer threw such a successful, bustling banquet for eating the dude I knocked out that Marjorie agreed to ally with the Legion. I went back to Caesar to tell him the good news, and he was in the middle of telling me to kill the Brotherhood of Steel before he had an aneurysm and passed out. So I went towards Hidden Valley, killed the small nation of Rad Scorpions, and went down to the Brotherhood's bunker. They told me to go deal with an NCR goon that's been squatting on their property, so I went and shot him like a million times with my 9mm pistol, and then I returned. You know the drill at this point. I snagged the 3 keycards needed to access the self-destruct terminal, and then I activated the self-destruct protocol, before chugging a vat of horse tranquilizer and bolting out of there before I could answer for my sins. With the Brotherhood destroyed, I returned to Caesar, who finally opened up about the tumor in his head. He asked me to go get some surgical tools and a special chip for his autodoc in order to remove the chip and save him. I was really liking my new form and my stats, but good things don't last forever. On the way to the medical facility where they had some surgical tools, I was ambushed by some NCR goons, and they had incredibly hurtful rifles that unfortunately dealt so much damage to me that it triggered my 4th regeneration. Now I just look like that African militant from Far Cry. Oh well, let me check my stats.
My luck stat! It's all gone!
No, my luck stat, it's all gone, no.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit.
Well, that's devastating. My charisma stat is gone too. Very disappointing. Anyway, I managed to get away from the NCR dudes and I donned some clothes that would fit my new look, and then I arrived at the medical facility. I managed to snag the surgical tools for only 1,500 caps. Jesus Christ, good thing I did the gambling grind before I regenerated. Now it was time to go down into a filthy radiated hole and fight a small nation of geckos, not to snag an autodoc chip. I went down into the cave and started shooting all the geckos down there, but I got a tiny bit lost trying to find the actual chip. Found the vault where the chip was, and mowed through the ghouls that stood in my way. It took a lot of ammo just to kill these ghouls because they were wearing armor. I even had to bust out my 9mm submachine gun to mow through them. Eventually I found the autodoc that I needed to find, grabbed the chip, and bolted out of there. I went back to Caesar, upgraded his autodoc with a new scanning unit chip and some surgical tools, and set it to remove the tumor in his brain. For this deed, I was awarded a level up, and Caesar congratulated me and thanked me. He then told me that there was a couple of things left to do before attacking Hoover Dam. One was to require a replacement firing mechanism for the Legion's big guns, and 2, to kill the NCR president during his speech at Hoover Dam. I decided to deal with repairing the big guns first. I headed over to Nellis and discovered some stragglers that must have survived my initial attack, so I made sure that I corrected my mistake. Then I found the replacement firing mechanism and went back to the fort to repair the big guns. Now it's time to deal with that president of the NCR fellow. After killing a family of cazadors, I met up with the Legion's contact who was going to help me take down the president. I donned some NCR clothing and infiltrated the president's speech, but let me tell you, it took me a fair few goes to actually kill the guy. The first couple times I died so quickly my body didn't even have the time to regenerate, so I had to reload a save. But then after chugging a bunch of Drano and heroin powder, I was able to decapitate the president with my bullets. Now was the hard part, escaping. I managed to take out most of the NCR dudes by taking cover, but Ranger Grant was more tanky. He dealt so much damage to me that I have no idea how it didn't trigger regeneration, but somehow by chugging a million billion sunset sarsaparillas, I managed to kill Raging Grant and escaped without regenerating, and I even was awarded another level up for my troubles. Okay, now the end really is in sight. After talking to Caesar, he told me that it was time to take the dam with his army. I was awarded a level up, teleported to the Legion's camp with the legate, and sent to power through the NCR's forces. The soldiers on the outside of the dam were easy enough to deal with. A bit of damage here and there, but nothing my 9mm pistol couldn't handle. I was even able to snag a sniper rifle and started laying into some more of the guards on the outskirts of the dam. Then I headed inside the actual dam, where 3 power-armored NCR soldiers were firing their flamers at me. I don't know how many 40mm grenades I launched at their face, and every time they shrugged it off like it was nothing. After a lengthy battle and 1 game crash, I was eventually able to defeat them, however at a great cost. They dealt enough damage to me to trigger my 5th and final regeneration. Now I just look like a shaved coconut. What's better is my special stats: intelligence and endurance at 9, charisma at 8, and agility at 10. Not bad at all. I looted a flamer off of all of the dead heavy troopers and started mowing through the rest of the NCR dudes. Now that I had a flamer with me, I was able to deal with the NCR without too many issues. I snagged a hunting rifle off one of them, which was able to make the armored heavy troopers fall before me. Eventually we fought all the way to the final room where General Lee Oliver stood. As you can probably tell, I've been pumping points into speech the entire game. I just pressed a speech check to tell him to run away, and he did. I turned towards the Legion Legate, who congratulated me for a job well done, and that's it. That's a wrap. I just completed Fallout New Vegas as a Time Lord. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of another video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Alternatively, if you didn't enjoy it, press that dislike button and feel free to go down into the comments and tell me how much you hated the video. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, helps me out a ton, and you can always change your mind later. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching Challenge Chronicles, and I'm out of here.